Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, and that's TA Masterclass time. And remember, the TA that I do is very, very different because it uses models and math. It's not just lines on a chart, different kettle of fish altogether. And it works. So we're going to take a little journey. First of all, I'm going to walk through what this next tool is. Most importantly, I'm going to explain why we built it over the last 2 years. Very, very important lesson in life. And then I'm going to walk through all of the different indicators that are in this one indicator and how they can be used to make sure you never miss the bottom again and you never miss the top, because that's painful. We'll talk about that too. So thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Jet. And at the end, I'll open up to Q&A. And by the way, a freaking amazing day in the markets. You know, I am heavy into, I've got hundreds of contracts across MicroStrategy and Tesla. And at one stage, they both were up $18, and CleanSpark was on fire of hundreds of those contracts as well. And it was a good day in the market. It's funny as well how things are going in different directions. You got Bitcoin kind of rose towards the market close today, but all the other proxies were on fire. And they know something's up. Wall Street knows something's up. So it's extremely bullish to understand what's behind the scenes. And this is part of what's happening here. So we're going to jump in and uncover stuff that is really important. And that's why actually on Tuesdays, I have a thing called OCTA. OCTA is the idea behind this. So let's jump in. It'll all begin to make sense in a minute, too. So first of all, let's talk about how to nail tops and bottoms. And of course, this is edutainment. I'm sitting down today. Bully is here as usual. And if there is no place on the internet in the world where you get information like this for free. So if you want to do well over the last year, it's been absolutely incredible. But subscribe to the channel if you do. And people are beginning to realize it's important to do that. And also hit the like, because that'll bring you like-kind content, so you don't have to waste your time watching crappy content. So this is all about what we call the TABI model, a top and bottom indicator. And rather than just talk you through what it is, I'm going to show you what it is and how it works. But again, more importantly, it's important to know why we built this. And when it came to 2021, I missed the top. And my Bitcoin target was $89,000. But I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, things like manipulation and everything else. I had been through a previous cycle, but I didn't have the tools to be able to gauge exactly all of the ingredients to be able to determine when people are running for the door. So I sat down for 2 years and put this together with the development team. And here we are, and you're going to see it now as well in great detail. But the other thing as well in life, and this is all, investing is all about philosophy and psychology and that type of stuff. If I ever make a mistake, nobody comes down harder on me than myself. I do a lot of self-flagellation. I literally, after every mistake, I whip myself for long periods of time. I can't sleep. I punish myself. And I make sure I don't make the same mistake twice. And that is key. And that's why we've spent so much money building so much stuff to make sure not only I don't make the same mistake again, but also you out there don't as well. So that is absolutely critical in life. If you make the same mistake twice or 3 times, it can be very, very punishing. Let's jump into the model. All right, TABI Ingredients. I'm going to walk through the ingredients first of what goes into it, because there's a hell of a lot more than meets the eye. Then I'm going to walk through the actual charts of all these different ingredients and how to actually interpret them as well. So first of all, you'll see here, the top and bottom indicator is one indicator, but there's also lots of sub-indicators as well. We look at things like the pi cycle ratio, the Puell Multiple, Bitcoin Dominance, NVTS, Hodlers, Hodler percentage, Hodler average balance, Hodler supply held percentage, hash rate, miner flows, miner reserves, transaction counts, transaction volumes, retail users, big money flows, very important too, profit ratios, and perpetual futures ratios as well. All of this is part of the actual suite itself. And every single element that we have put together gives you a clue as to where things are in the actual cycle. So I'm going to go through the ingredients real fast. Many of you probably know what they are, but then we're going to walk through them all in a chart. So let's just blast through these first. First of all, pi cycle top. It's a technical indicator that works really well. It's really simple. It's basically calculated by dividing Bitcoin price by the 350-day moving average of the Bitcoin price. And a ratio above 1 is considered bullish. A ratio below 1 is considered bearish. It's that simple. first thing. Second is the Puell Multiple, another technical indicator, again, divided by the total daily Bitcoin mining revenue by the 365-day moving average of the total daily Bitcoin mining revenue. Sounds confusing, but it's real simple. But basically, all you need to know is a low multiple means you're in the kill zone, and a high multiple means danger zone. Real simple. Dominance, Bitcoin dominance, you hear about that a lot in other channels. It's in there, but really, when you look at the actual crypto market, and there's so many different cryptos, and there's stable coins and everything else, you know, you have to take it sometimes with a grain of salt, but it does tell you exactly how strong Bitcoin is relative to other assets. But what we have learned as well this season, yes, all of the cryptos can do bad, but a couple will rise and they will go exponential. I don't need to mention any names as to which ones have done that this year. But again, focus on excising the winners. Do the work up front as well. Let's talk about NVTS as well. This is the network value to transactions ratio. It measures the valuation of the Bitcoin relative to the volume of transactions on the network. And basically, a high NVTS indicates Bitcoin network is overvalued. Low, undervalued. It's real simple, but the magic is putting all these together with the right composite score. Next is the Hodlers and Hodler metrics. Is basically who's buying, who's selling, who are in profit, who are not, all that type of stuff, all in there. Hash rate, it's how secure the network is. Also, hash rate is extremely important to analyze the actual Bitcoin miners, which I do a lot of as well, and how profitable they will be in the future. But basically, many people believe the stronger the hash rate, the more secure the network, the more money it draws into the network. That's one theory that's been around for a long time. And I do believe price follows the hash. Always been my theory, but some people believe different, but that's okay. Next is miner metrics. These are very important because all of the supply ultimately that comes into the system mostly comes from miners, and they are used to measure the activities and strategies. We look at things like the average block reward, transaction fees, etc., and they can provide insight to the health of the Bitcoin industry, the miner industry, the Bitcoin price, what they're doing, buying or selling. If the miners are dumping a lot of Bitcoin, that can bring the price down. So it's very important to look at how big their reserves are and how much they are pushing to sell to the market. Very critical. Next is transaction metrics. They're used to measure activity on the chain. We had a lot of weird anomalies early this year with the whatever those I can't remember what they're called. The embossed NFTs on Bitcoin. Sounds like anomalies, but it's not. Anyway, they had a big impact on some of the metrics, but it is important to look at the daily transactions, the transaction volume, average transaction fees, etc. It shows the overall health of Bitcoin and the network too, because the ultimate price will be driven by Metcalfe's law, which is the amount of use the network has. Then we have different user types. You know, we have the miners, the retail users, the investors, what they do, how they play, whether they're buying, selling, dumping, etc. Critical to watch. Large holder flows. Follow what the whales do. Follow the money. We have that in here too, and they're typically people that own at least 0.1% of the total Bitcoin supply. And large holder flows can be used to identify potential sell-offs or accumulation by large holders. And these guys are pretty good at buying bottoms and selling tops. So important to look at them too. In addition, profit ratio, how many people are in profit in their Bitcoin positions, very important. And typically a high profit ratio makes things kind of more bullish when everybody's making money. But when literally everybody's making money, like 99%, that can be a red flag. We'll talk more about that later when we show it too. And Perp Ratio. The Perp Ratio, it measures the strength of the Bitcoin market based on perpetual contracts, the futures contracts, and allows people to bet on the future. So when there's a lot of money going into futures, betting on future prices, etc., that's a very positive sign for future price action, because the people that trade these tend to be very sophisticated, not the average retail investor. And again, please remember as well, if you want to be successful in investing, you've got to be well-rounded. You can't just rely on lines on a chart or comparing a chart to a chart that existed for another asset 20 years ago or something like that. It's critical. It is critical that you look at on-chain indicators, but not use them in isolation. As I say, TA and FA are critical, but FA first, FA is fundamental analysis, and I do a lot of that, and TA determines when to get in and when to get out. okay? So for example, these indicators cannot determine if, for example, a Bitcoin spot ETF is coming or gets approved. You'll see it in the price action after the fact, but it's important, as I say, keep your head out the window to see what's going on. All right, after that long intro showing you the ingredients that make up this little pie, it's TA time, and I'm going to walk you through the actual system itself with a whole bunch of different charts. So let me get this ready and hopefully pull everything up. And again, thank you everybody for being here too. And we are going to go and look at the actual charts. I can see myself and see if I can pop this up. Yeah, let me see. View that. I hope everybody's seeing my chart. I'm just going to go max screen. I'll come back to it after. Alrighty. Now, first of all, this is the top and bottom indicator. I do want to stress it's designed to work on the daily time frame. If you have it on the 8-hour or the 4-minute or whatever, it's not going to work. Daily time frame only. That's how it's configured, because the data and the calculations from calculations done on on-chain data are done on a daily basis. That's why it's only available in the daily time frame. Now, the other thing to do is you'll have a thing called the TABI model here. You click the cog and you determine what you want. But it starts off with the TABI model itself, and you can create a heat map or a color or any type of chart you like, and you can play with it here. You can configure the style. I like different styles for different indicators, and I like to sometimes overlay them or underlay them too. And a lot of people don't know this little trick. Sometimes you can move things to a new pane below, and you can look at it separately. If you don't want your chart to be too busy, I like to overlay because I get a better picture of exactly what's going on. And of course, you can configure the scales up and down on the left-hand side here, just like you can with the price. So this is the TABI model. Basically, when it's blue, dark blue, light blue, you buy the hell out of that time frame. Don't be afraid. You buy as much as you can, ladies and gentlemen. I know it sounds a bit hyper bullish, but that's what you need to do. And also, when it starts getting green, even in lime green, it's totally fine to buy. Yellow, you layer in less. Orange, you start thinking about taking profit, depending on the situation. But you got to keep really close tabs on exactly what's happening. The dark orange, whoa, get ready to pull some triggers. And red, get the hell out. That is the history, and it goes back in time. You can see how it works over all the history of Bitcoin, and then you can turn on a log chart or whatever else and get a feel for exactly what's going on right now. So that is the TABI model. The next little piece is, let me blow this up a little bit because I have all the tabs open. The next piece, pull this down, make sure I know what I'm looking at here, is the pi cycle top. So here you have the pi cycle is the green line. Again, I have it at the top. And right there at the very top is the pi cycle top. Pi cycle top indicates the top. Now, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. Remember, sometimes markets can be manipulated and they can throw these old traditional metrics off. If we go back in time, you can scroll back and you can see all the history of other pi cycle tops and pi cycle bottoms and how accurate they are. I see pi cycle top of the green line here. You can turn it on to a log chart as well as we go forward. And now I'm trying to scroll and scrolling things up. Anyhow, pi cycle top also has a pi cycle bottom. When you hit this level down here at whatever that score would be, I can't remember how it's. Ratio is down here on the left. Sorry, I'm blind. Let me turn this into a percentage. Hold on a second. It's actually a z-score, but I'm going to turn it into a percentage. So here, basically, when the pi cycle goes up to plus 0.5, you know it's a danger zone. When it's minus 0.5, danger zone. So think of that as another indicator to basically indicate to get in and out or determine if it's a great time to buy. Now, the pi cycle also, this was kind of a weird double top last time around because of manipulation and crazy stuff that was happening with all the scammers in the space. And the pi cycle bottom nailed the first bottom, but again, FTX blew up, which took us lower. So that technically was the bottom at like 20,000, but then FTX took us lower. So you got to kind of bear in mind, as I say, keep your head out the window as to what's going on. Next in the box is this one. This is the, let me remind myself, make sure I don't screw up. This is the Puell Multiple. And the Puell Multiple, basically, it's a bit of a busy chart. But when it's very low, this purple area down here, it is the time to buy. When it's high, it's the time to sell. It's that simple. Anytime down here, and with these green bars that I threw on there, that is the kill zone to buy. And of course, at the top, when it gets really overheated, you see the way it aligns with the pricing here to a large extent. It's time to sell. Again, it's not perfect, but it's a very good indicator as to what's going on in the marketplace. Next, we have this one. This is, remind myself, Bitcoin Dominance. Could have guessed that. Here it's up at 54%, 53.95%. Again, you're comparing, it's like the S&P 500, 7 stocks matter, 493 don't really matter. Same thing within crypto. But again, it's there if you need it. And typically, when Bitcoin dominance is high, if you look at the past, the price action follows. So here's an all-time high, and then the Bitcoin price runs up because people kind of FOMO into it, and it falls down. But this time is a little bit different because the market's more mature, the assets are more mature, the assets are garnering more value. So I don't put much weight on the Bitcoin dominance ratio. Some people do. I do not. I like to excise the good assets myself. Anyhow, this next one here is the NVTS score. Again, when NVTS is high, time to get out. And high is considered, let me change this percentage down here to an actual percent. That's not popping. Hold on. But as per the chart here, and you can change the chart if that's hard to see. Let's turn it up a little bit. I have it as pink. And then what we can also do is overlay it if we want on the chart above. Existing pane above, and you get a feel. But because it's not opaque enough, we can kill this. It's kind of harder to see. But again, NVTS also is not perfect. But the problem is each one gives you a clue. Each one gives you a breadcrumb as to what's going on. And sometimes NVTS can be high for different reasons, like a big spike in price, drive a lot of activity. We'll talk about activity and transactions as well in a few minutes. Next one, this is the, make sure I get it right, this is the holders, long-term holders. And you can see it's up and to the right. I will draw a little line here. See the way it's going up this way. I'm really bad at drawing lines, but it keeps on getting higher. And that's why I think this time will be very, very different in Bitcoin, because people are more educated. People are smarter. They know where the price is going. They know the halving is coming. They know the spot ETF is coming. So nobody is selling. And that's why we're seeing record levels of people that hold Bitcoin, which is really positive. Now, if these folks all of a sudden start dumping Bitcoin, now it's time to be concerned. So that's the holder ratio. This one is, I think it's the hash rate. Let me check. Yes, this is the hash rate. And you can see everything can be kind of toggled here real fast. I just want to make sure I don't lead you astray. And you can see the hash rate is also up and to the right in a very spectacular fashion. This is insane how this is going. And price follows hash. No ifs, ands, or buts. And you can see it's been lagging behind very hard. But this is also very, very important that the miners are going to be in a world of hurt. If this hash rate continues to go up and the price does not hit $50,000, $55,000 in April, May 2024, a lot of miners are going to hit the wall. That's just mathematics. They might be able to live for a little time, but unless they're a lean, mean machine, they're going to be in trouble. And next one, make sure I know where I am. This is the miner flow. Okay, this is important. This shows you what miners are doing. And let me pop this up here. Make sure this fits to chart to screen. Alrighty. So look what happens here. I'm going to try and draw a little arrow here. Excuse all these different lines. I should delete this one. But I'm looking down here. Look what happens to the miner flows. The miners are beginning to not sell Bitcoin. When this is negative, they are dumping Bitcoin. When this is going up, they are not dumping Bitcoin. They're holding it. Okay, so what happened? In September 2021, Bitcoin price began to shoot up. The miners knew that, and they did not sell. They started holding all their Bitcoin, and then they waited. Look to this level right here. This would be 29th of October. Almost at the very top, they started selling. And then they held a little bit, and then they started selling again. And then they held a little bit, and then the market started to fall. All the bad news started to come out, and then they started selling aggressively. So this is very, very important. When you watch what the miners do, and the miners normally have very good tabs on what's happening in the Bitcoin world, it's important to see. Also, over time, they need to sell a lot of Bitcoin to cover their expenses, buy new modern rigs that are more effective and efficient, cover overhead. So there will always be a lot of selling, but watch when they start accumulating. Typically, that's before a big price advance. So keep an eye on the miners. Next is, cheat sheet. This is miner reserves. Is how much the miners actually have in stock of Bitcoin. And this is interesting because look at this. They got too many arrows here. I'm going to draw a new one over all of this. But you can see here, their miner reserves have been falling over time. It was trendy to hodl Bitcoin for a long time. Now they're not doing that anymore. They keep on selling it because they know the actual reward will be halved. Their rigs might be old. Now is the time to invest. In fact, the bear market was the time to invest, increase hash, buy new rigs, etc. And you can see I talk a lot about the miners, but it's a key part of the ecosystem you need to be aware of if you're playing in the Bitcoin game. But miner reserves now are at a multi-year low. They have not been this low for an extremely long time. So that's crazy. And that shows you how not only how the world has changed in the miners world, but how cutthroat it's become, how competitive it's become. Like last time around, there was a handful of public miners. This time there's tons of them, and they control a huge amount of the actual hash that's out there. So watch this space carefully. We want this to obviously go up over time when they start stacking. But at the same time, knowing that they have no miner reserves means there's not a lot that they can dump on the market either, which is good news. Next one is, this is the amount of transactions on the actual ecosystem is good. So we want transactions to be going up. You can see here, it was kind of low for a long time during 2022, but the ordinals, that's the word I couldn't remember earlier. Ordinals came in 2023. You see all this transaction action happening here, and now it's just spiking up again, as we see right here as well. And that's a good sign for the network. It's going to go a lot higher as well in this bull market, especially as it gets more widely adopted. Next in the box is retail. These are the amount of retail holders in the Bitcoin network, and they're going up and to the right. We now have 48.4 million retail holders in Bitcoin. We want this to go above 50 or 60 in the next bull run, maybe even higher. And then you can actually value the network based on netcast law. And the value currently is actually undervalued based on my calculations. Next, we look at, there's so many models, I want to make sure I get them right. These are large holders. And you can see here as well, some interesting stuff falls out. This is what large holders do, okay? So when you see price coming down, each time it falls, they buy and they accumulate. They're kind of like my DCA strategy. I tend to buy more. The more something falls, the cheaper it gets. And when things get very cheap, the whales buy a lot. This is this green little mountain here. And as it gets more expensive, they buy less. And these are the large holder flows. And there's been a little bit of large holder action as well lately. But again, this is very telling, but nothing like the action that happened earlier in the year. And especially down here when you see things are really cheap in March 2023. And even if we go back, look at the amount of buying. Look at these large holders. Look how clever they are. They freaking saw the bottom happen and they bought as much as they possibly could. Very important to watch these folks too. Next, I will make sure I remind myself, this is the actual profit ratio. Again, it's important that we analyze this very carefully. And typically, when things are profitable, highly profitable, let's turn this onto a percentage. And somehow it's not formatting for me here, but basically, let me pop up the top. This is typically like at 99%. Anytime Bitcoin hits an all-time high, it's like 99% of people are in profit. And that's when they start to take profits. So when things are peaky here, up at 100, it's time to get out. We're very far away from that right now, but also a lot of more people are in profit right now. It's about 70% for some reason. I'm not getting this percentage to show up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Regular, but somehow it's not formatting. Maybe anyway, but it's there as a percentage of people in profit, and I think this is getting close to one of the last ones. This is a perp ratio as well. This is an indication of how much people have bullishness on the strength of the actual network. And look how perps blew up again, October 2022, and then they fell down. And now they're creeping up again here, which is awesome to see. So the net conclusion of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, let me jump back, see if I'm still here. There I am. Hopefully this is showing. I just want to just do a quick conclusion again. This is designed to make sure we never make the same mistake twice. All right, I'm going to open up to some Q&A as well. But don't forget, a big thank to everybody on Patreon. We work together. We've had literally, of course, it's sold out. It sells out in the bull market, and people had unfortunately, some credit cards bounced and some problems with PayPal transactions that always sometimes happens, or people's expiry date in the credit cards. So a lot of people got booted and got sold out, and of course they're freaking out. But anyway, there are a couple of seats open. We opened a few more. We normally don't do that. We'd like to keep it as a closed community, but thank you to everybody on Patreon as well. There's a few spots open if you want to join the #1 finance community in the world. And I'm going to do some questions now for everybody, and we'll go to that. And thank you as well to the team for doing this. Let me see. Dr. Cookie, does TABI work for Sol? No. So this TABI is only designed for Bitcoin and Bitcoin on-chain analytics. Nothing has that level of analytics yet. I think over time, other assets will have on-chain analytics with the same breadth and power of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's an on-chain game. No ifs, ands, or buts as well. And let me see how many sections. Next one from Hudson the Dog. How many sections are to this model? Let me pull them all up. There are... I can't remember. There's the TABI model itself, which is the composite score of everything. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 sections. 19 different pieces in there. So hope that helps. And the composite score scores a whole bunch of stuff with a whole bunch of math and on-chain data to find out when things are getting hot and when they are not. So let me see. Johnny Bravo. Will you make the TABI equivalent for Sol? Everybody's asking about Sol. I would if I had the data. The problem is on-chain data is extremely difficult to do. One of the things I've been trying to do, I built a wealth pyramid for Bitcoin. I built one for Ethereum, but I don't have all the data to do it for Solana yet. But I am looking at Google BigQuery. Hopefully I can crack the code on that in a week or two and pull out all the addresses and the value and wealth per address and create that same level of pyramid. Because I know a lot of you out there want to be up high on the pyramid. Like I came up with the whole coiner concept years and years ago, 5 years ago. I knew because it's so scarce and 5 million are lost that if you have one whole coin, you're at the very least going to be one in, a very few amount of people on the world. So we'll try to do that again for this too. From Anthony Lopez, will there be a time when Bitcoin no longer goes down, and what will be the key indicators of such an event? This is so important, and this is a very brilliant question. Thank you, Anthony Lopez. So I think about this all the time. And you've heard me say all year, this time is different because I analyze all data and I compare it to history, and everything is pretty much different. Very little is the same. Even on the global macro side, all the indicators say scream recession, but it's not showing up in the data because governments play with numbers, etc. They look good politically. But literally, the most fascinating thing about Bitcoin is its scarcity. And I showed you one of the key things, the fact that the long-term holders are holding more and more. The actual short-term holder supply is decreasing rapidly. And for the first halving ever, we're going into a cycle where there will be decreasing supply with exploding demand, which is part of the reason I can't sleep at night, because it's going to be so exciting as we go forward. But the question is that you have, is there such a time where Bitcoin will not go down anymore? Yes. Once the amount of allocations start to replace gold, that's going to happen. There will be no more bull markets, and we'll be able to tell that using tools like this. We'll be able to see the accumulation. We'll be able to see what the miners are doing. We'll be able to see what the miner reserves are. We'll be able to see what the long-term holders are doing, the short-term holders. We'll be able to see the transactions, the activity on the network. We'll be able to see what the whales are doing. If they start dumping, we'll know about it first. This thing will alert us to it. But if there's enough, the problem is, I think, let me get this right, $450 million after April 2024 will be hitting the market every month. $450 million. If the demand is higher than $450 million, that's it. Price will continue to go up. That's why it's exciting. And of course, once the spot ETF is approved, it won't be big bang. It'll be gradually coming in, and then it'll ramp, kind of like an S-curve. I shared one on Twitter today. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. So this will be very interesting to track. So the indicators will be how much supply is available, what long-term holders are doing, are they selling, what reserves are in place, and what the big whales are doing and how much is being bought. It's going to be a complete on-chain game. That's why we put this thing together. Chip off the old blockchain. What is your target for Bitcoin this bull market? Well, conservatively, I thought it was 89K last time. This time is different because of institutional money, and it's far scarcer than before. So I think we do an easy 120K this year. I know it sounds like hopium, but that's where I see things going. Now, getting back to what Mr. Lopez just asked, if there is sustained demand for this asset, and it's a tiny asset, remember, it's $500 billion versus gold, which is 14 trillion. It's nothing compared to global debt and global real estate and equity markets and options markets. It's so small. And the money that's coming is so big, it's going to just really make things amazing. So, as I say, seatbelts on. It's such an exciting time to be alive, but watch this data. It'll be critical to tell us what's happening. And I will be updating you every Tuesday and every Thursday on what I see happening. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'll be on top of this like white on rice, as they say. Nothing to see here. That's the name of the person, by the way. And the other person was Chip off the old block. I'm reading their handles. And by the way, a quick pro tip for security right now, if you're in Bitcoin or you're on the internet, don't use your real name. No offense, Anthony Lopez. I hope that's not your real name, but use a fake name, okay? Because scammers are going to be out to get you. Never share your real detail in a handle on a Discord channel or in a community like Patreon or on YouTube or anything like that, okay? From nothing to see here. So is TABI a confluence of all the different models? Yes, it is. It is a back-tested, finely tuned amalgamation composite score of elements of all the different models put together and weighted correctly to make sure we can identify top and bottoms really, really easily. And that's why it's so cool. Consider it like a risk metric. And it'll alert you to when is a great time to buy. Even recently, as the most recent cycle, we saw big dips. And let me show you what I mean by that, actually, because it's not just for tops and bottoms, but it can help you within layers too. Give me 1 second. Let me pop back to the actual screen. So let me go to the original one. So imagine we are here, and let's just zoom in. So you can see how down in the kill zone here, let me draw the little kill zone right there. That's absolutely insane place to buy if you had the luck. This also an insane place to buy. And this one doesn't appear that way, but this was a kill zone right here, but it did fall further. And this insane place to buy. So again, you see light, whatever that light blue color is, just below the lime. And lime is also a killer place to buy too, but it'll also indicate when those moments are there, and then things go off the races. And remember, it doesn't stay down at these levels for very long over time. So I hope that helps. Now let me pull up, see if there's any more questions before we wrap. From Dirt Runner, what do you think the effect of ETS holding a large amount of Bitcoin after the bull market runs its course, aka the bear market? Well, you know, anything that is kind of a big valuable asset will be managed. Risk will be managed using options, kind of the same way I do it. You use them for leverage and you use them to hedge as well. I do believe the sheer amount of Bitcoin that are available for sale will not satisfy the need of the spot ETFs when they come. And remember, it's not just about BlackRock and Fidelity and everything else. It's about, as I said before, it's about Aladdin behind the scenes. Aladdin is a kind of an algo that's sold by BlackRock, and that's used by companies that run about $35 trillion in money, assets. When that algo gets tweaked for, say, pension funds, for Apple, for Microsoft to make a certain allocation towards Bitcoin, even if it's half of 1%, which is a stupidly low allocation to Bitcoin, by the way, not financial advice, then things will go completely crazy. And so that's it. I want to thank you all for your questions. I hope you liked the show. Feedback welcome as always. I appreciate each and every one of you. And let me know if you like these types of things. They are kind of more for the real pro that wants to get deep on the data and the technicals and the analysis, but they are lifesavers. We will not be caught out again. Big thank you once again to everybody on Patreon, and I'll see you all on the other side. Have a great day, and it's been a great day in the markets. Wow, 2,000 people watching TA stuff. That's incredible. So hope you enjoy, everybody. And a big thank you to the moderators in the chat too. Oh, I'm turning on my chart again. I shouldn't do that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.